Going inside.
No, I don't.
You don't. So I'm just like, ah.
Okay, now,
Especially with this one. Especially with this
what
one.
happens, I noticed a lot of, when you guys were fighting, what happens a lot is somebody, if he opens on me, right, I'm here and he opens, and I don't respond, right, what usually happens that next shot, if you just kind of wait around for me?
Return opposite where your hand is.
Sometimes, but usually get hit, right? Because because if you don't respond to what they've done, unless you break distance and get away, if you disengage the fight, right? But if him and I are fighting, and I let him open,
I reset.
right? Say I don't step. I'm the inappropriate response, and I don't step like that, and I just catch that block, and then I wait for him, right? He's usually just going to hit me, right? But if he throws that same opener, right? Right? But now I forced him to block, and thus I've stopped his train of thought as to, well, what can I do to fuck him up now? Now I've gone to, now he's going to throw the response that I want, which in this instance is what? Can everyone guess before he throws?
You want him to throw to your forearm.
I want him to throw back outside, right? Why?
Because your hands are there.
Because my hand is
inside
low,
control.
right? I want him to throw high outside. I threw low and on the inside, and my hand is low. If I threw it like this, what do I want?
Low and outside.
I want low outside, right? So, when he throws that opener, and I respond, that's what I want. Make sense?
Yeah.
So when somebody opens on you and you just let them swing, right? And you catch that block, and you're like, yes, I caught that block, right? Most of the time, if you don't respond or break distance, you're putting yourself in a bad place. And if you're like, if you're like trying to prove a point and be like, man, I'm a badass and this guy's not, then you can stand there and just block him all day long. Then prove that point. But that's not how to win a single sword fight. That's how to get hit. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, so now I've already kind of started talking about the setups and reposts and how to get the setups and reposts that you want. We've already kind of broken into that a little bit. Just like let's say, I want this inside arm. Okay? Now, in order to get that inside arm, let's say I want to, that's the shot that I want on him. There's lots of ways to get there. So think about how you can progress to get him. What's the best situation to kill somebody's inside arm? When they've thrown where?
Outside.
Where outside?
Outside and low.
Outside and low? Sure. Right? So, simplest way would be to throw here, right? So that he wants that hip. That's the simplest way to get that setup. You see that's a setup? You understand how that's a setup?
Yeah.
Right? Now, in a setup and a riposte, that's basically the same idea. Reposting is basically a setup, right? At least if you do it in a manner in which you're dictating. If you just repost, and you're like, nah, I hit him, but I didn't really know why or how, then it's not really a setup. It's just kind of a happy accident that you happen to do something, subconsciously that worked, right? So we've already covered what's the best way to get that arm. What's the best way to get the outside arm? If I want his outside arm,
Throw inside.
make him throw where?
Inside and high.
Yeah, inside high, right? So the best way to do that would be, right? Like maybe throw here. Get him to throw there. And I can come over. Right? And when people start getting, when people get good, and people start understanding what you're understanding, like in order to get this outside, I might throw a safe opener to get him to throw inside so that I can get a safer return outside. But he's going to know what he wants to do to stop that. So I need to figure out a way where I don't necessarily need to start there. I may start here catch him here, then throw out, then get him here, and then kill him. Does that make sense? And it's all dictated where my hand ends at the end of my swing. Holy shit, right? Okay, does that make sense? Any questions on this so far? This is a lot of information really quickly. Alright, good. Alright, a couple other things I want to cover.
Just means I know how you
So there's no questions so far? I've kind of got this in my notes here. I've got this set aside for questions and answers.
You're doing a good job explaining it.
Okay, good. Okay. I want to cover single sword on the different other sets of fighting equipment. Okay. Yeah, you can find it. Okay, so when you're fighting a boardman, now like I said before, usually when you're on the field and you're down to single sword, why are you down to single sword? Because you lost an arm. So you don't always get to dictate which hand you get to fight with, so you should practice with both. However, in any situation, in the most optimal situation, if you're fighting a boardman, you want to hand match them. I've already covered this, but why do you want to hand match them?
Take away their shield. Take the shield out of the fight.
Take the shield out of the fight, right? Because it puts that hand so far back, right? And you're fighting this hand. You want to kill that hand. You're going to protect yourself from that hand, right? Now, when you're killing boardmen with single sword, the majority of the time you want to have inside lane control. Unless you can just kill them with speed to the outside's pretty dangerous. Because if you throw outside, right, he's got both of his hands on your inside lane. Right, he's got inside lane control, and my body is pretty close to him. And I'm most likely going to die from that. Right? So you want to control inside lane. What's a great way to control inside lane?
Bait him outside.
Bait him outside, get him to throw outside. So I might come into the fight here, right? To get him to throw outside so that I can have an inside lane. Pretty simple, right? You know, if I'm fighting right-handed, what's a great way, you know, if I want to bait him inside, you know, I might stand here, right? Right, so that so my inside lane is open. I'm denying my outside lane in this instance, right? So you'll throw inside so that I can go here. Now, a lot of people won't. If a boardman knows that you're really good single sword, they won't initiate on you. They'll force you to initiate because the best way to kill a boardman is to get them to throw before you. Right, set them up for a good return that you want. So great things that you can do. You know, what's a great thing to do if that boardman does not want to initiate?
Distract him.
Right, you throw their guard. Throw something safe. Don't try to kill him. Right? You know, if I want this inside lane, I might just come in and throw to his shield. Right? I've maintained distance. Right? It's a quick chop. I'll stay far enough away from him, but I'm not really in that great a danger of getting hit from just a quick chop, right? But now, I bring my guard over to catch that shot, and I've got inside lane control, right? Or vice versa. You know, I might throw here to get him to throw out, right? And in this situation, his guard's really pretty good for an inside return, so I might stutter there and come under, right? See how that kind of where your hand is from your safe opener that you're not trying to kill them with, even though they sure as hell think that you're going to try to kill them. Because let's face it, you know, 75% of the people on this field think they're going to kill everyone with their opening shot, or they're going to lose. Right? Not many people are in this for the grind. Make sense? Okay. So, you know, maintain distance. Always maintain distance. Another big thing is a boardman cannot swing through his own shield.
So
right?
use footwork and keep your shield between them.
Yeah, use your footwork and keep their shield between you and them. Right? Like, so say, you know, I want to throw here, right? And I'm really pretty safe. Right? If I throw this, if I want to come over top, proceed real far this way and try to keep his shield in between me and him and get my guard in the way and like, oh shit, I'm gonna die. Right? But even so, if I throw to his shield side, you know, I've got good lane control on the inside then. You know, you see me throw this under a lot, and the reason why I throw that under a lot is because it's an extremely predictable response. When I throw this under, where are they going to return? My arm. Right? So he's going to return to my arm. You know, and I have a response that I want.
Yep.
Cool. Any questions on boardmen? Right? And another thing that's good on boardmen, if you can get them to chase you around, like chase your back body around, like if I'm fighting right-handed on him, if I can get him to chase my back body for a swing, especially from distance, right? If you can get them to chase that, you have a long time to block that. And because they're really reaching for it, you should always win that fight. You should always either be able to return to their arm, or make them think you're returning to their arm, and their shield will come over. You know, make sense? Okay, two swords. Any questions? So two swords, fighting two swords, single sword. What should we do? Any guesses? Any ideas?
Treat it like a shield.
Make them extend and take off a sword.
Right, but what hand do you want to hand match?
Whichever one they have on top.
Matching the leg that had that you're placing.
Right. Then he's fighting with his left foot forward. This is his dominant side because this is the forward side. So if I can, I want to fight him right-handed, right? Because I'm hand matching. Now because I'm hand matching, I'm fighting that arm. That's the arm I want to kill. That's the arm that's going to try to keep me from killing this arm. This is the arm he's going to try to kill me with. Right?
Right.
Stay away. Don't try to stab him. That's how you die. If you come in here for his body, he's got two weapons that can hit me. It's the stupidest thing you could do. Right? I mean, unless you've set them up and they're like totally horrible, then go ahead and stab them. But in most cases, when they're a decent two-sworder, they're not going to allow you to stab them. They'll just block you down and then beat you like a drum. So, you know, fight him from distance. Throw safe openers, right? That force him, you know, you can throw that in too. Right? Now, if you can get them in this situation, this is great. This is great because he's blocked with that hand and he's given up the ghost with this hand. Because he blocked with this hand is tied up for the second, for this split second of this shot, right? And because he threw with this hand and I anticipated it and I caught that block, this hand is also tied, which gives me a free action. So a good free action for me would be to return back down that lane because I've still got outside lane control on this hand. Does that make sense though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got both of his planes tied up.
Right, I've got both planes
so you
tied
attack
up.
the weak target.
A lot of two-sworders, when they block with this hand, they'll throw with this hand. Oh, the good ones won't. The good ones that don't, they'll protect themselves with this hand and they'll fight with this one. Then it's a single sword fight where you've got to fake his guard up. Right? So say I throw in and he returns out, this hand here is going to be there to stop me. So maybe I stutter to go back across to bring his guard there, and then return down inside lane. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, and then it becomes single sword. And if you can kill him when he's got two swords, you should be able to kill him single sword on his single sword. Especially when his dominant hand is dead. Right? Now, he's a good two-sworder. And say I'm down my right hand, he's going to hand match me because he knows what he's doing. He's going to fight my forward hand and keep his back hand back to protect himself. A lot of two-sworders that think they're good that aren't, won't. He'll he'll keep whatever dominant hand he thinks is his dominant hand forward, because his other hand is off. And so say I'm down my left arm, and he keeps his right foot forward.
See if it works this time.
You know, from here, you've got pretty good situations. The bad part is you're not hand matching anymore, so your distance control needs to be a lot more exact, right? Meaning I need to be able to strike at this arm without him striking my body, and I need to be able to strike at this arm and do it in a safe enough way that if he does reach for my body, I can protect myself, right? So the best thing you can do in this situation is to maintain distance and let them open. You know, like stand close enough to them that they think they can open on you. Right? Does that make sense? Alright, real quick, let's cover poles. Now, you never really want to fight a pole with your single sword, but let's face it, you have to do it sometimes. If you have a choice as to what hand you can use, you want to hand match their forward foot.
Because that's the angle most of their shots are going to come from.
Right? Well, a good poleman will switch, right?
Right.
So, but the reason, just bear with me, the reason for it is, right, where's the strength of his shot, like the biggest danger from him is what, his stab, right? So you want to profile yourself to the stab. Also, what's his next biggest danger?
Chop.
A big, huge fucking chop, right? Or a big chop to your outside chop to your leg. The best way to protect that leg would not be to go like this, right? It'd be to go like this and block that leg down, right? His outside chop, you know, he's gonna bring that outside chop in, and you wanna, you know, if I'm here, all of my mass, all of my weight is now parallel with his weapon, right? Whereas if I'm here, my shoulders are perpendicular to that. So my weight then is behind me if I want to stop this strike with my one arm. From here, he could knock me over because he just rolled me back on my heels. From here, I can stop that strike, right? And I have more mass behind it to stop it, you know, and then I'll have to run down the pole. Basically, when you're fighting a pole, you need to get them to swing or stab at you, block it, and get in on them and chase them down until they die. Right? It's not an ideal situation, but the basic idea is protect yourself, and the best way to protect yourself is hand match that forward foot. Now, if he's not going to allow you to do that, right, he's going to come at me like that, right, you're pretty well fucked, but... Say that way. But the best thing you can do, because the best thing that he wants to do to you, is he'll want to chop. He'll want to chop right down on your body. Right? Right. Okay? Now when he does that, you need to maintain range from him and get him to throw from his extreme range, right? So that once his shot is thrown, force that weapon to one side and keep it away from you as you chase him down. Right? Yeah. I mean, it's not an ideal situation because he's got a lot of power over you, and that's just the fact of the matter. But, you know, think about protecting yourself. It's always more important to live than to kill somebody. Okay?
Do you have a trick where if he's faster than you are,
Do I have a trick where
he's faster than you are, so you have to run him down?
like a poleman who's faster?
Yeah.
Imagine you're
I'm not faster than many people, so if I have to run someone down, I'm not going to outrun
Okay,
him.
give yourself 50 pounds and then chase right. Now, if I was a big fat ass and I couldn't chase anyone down, the best thing for you to do is to get them to reach, get all of their weight on their forward foot.
So they can't recover.
So once they throw that shot, you can catch that block, and you have a good step while they're trying to shift their weight back off of their forward foot. A lot of killing somebody, especially in those situations where you need to chase them down, is getting their weight on their forward foot. Right? Another thing that I want to cover, I'll cover in a second, but any questions on pole? Any more questions? Any questions on two-sword? board. Let's cover crowds real quick. Right? No, I'm sorry. Or can you go too far?
If I don't know.
Bring a pole. You can come on too. Sure. Okay, fighting a crowd. The best thing for you to do fighting a crowd is to get yourself in a situation where you're fighting as few of them as possible. Right? If I walk in just to the middle here and try to fight all three of them at once, your odds are very slim of winning. Right? So when you're fighting a crowd, just like any crowd fighting, you want to try to isolate one person or the other. So whether that would be, if you guys are all in your little line here, right? You know, maybe stutter towards Horace to get him to bring up his guard and make him leery and get him to chase you, right? So once he's chased me, once he's stepped out of this line to come at me, and I can step back this way, he's a little further away, he's within range and he's out of the fight for a split second, right? That's the basic idea. Also, if I want, you know, just like we talked about with the board, if I threw here, that's a great cue for him to throw on my inside lane so that I can catch that block and turn the shoulder where I want. You know, you can use it the same way with a person next to him. So if he's got his guard up and he's out there, let's say I throw here, right? He's going to be throwing here, he's going to be reaching for me, and he's going to be reaching for me with that hand. So if I can throw here, step out, and catch his block while these two are still reaching for me, I've got a shot while these two are still chasing me. And because I threw to him, unless he's a goddamn robot, he's going to be a little slower on that response, especially if I'm not trying to hit him. That's the key. If I'm trying to hit him, then I'm dead. If I throw from range, then I have a chance of getting out and getting what I'm after. Okay? The best time to kill anyone in this situation where you're fighting a crowd, the best time to kill any boardman ever single sword is when you have one of them stepping. So one of their feet are off the ground. Because then they can't change direction. So, if I, let's say I stutter to Horace again, and he kind of brings up his guard and he steps forward, and I come here, and he swings, right? I'm going to catch this block, I want that return to arm, and let's say he catches the block. He's going to be like, oh fuck, I need to get in there. Now he's moving at full speed. Once that forward foot plants, he's pretty well fucked. Because especially if I step out, he's moving in, getting in his way, and I can get around that. Right? Does that make sense? Because he's on one foot, he can't change direction. He's like, oh, right? Just like a boardman. Killing a boardman single sword on this board. Well, or if you have a board, you'll see me throw that under on him a lot. If you watch, I never, ever, ever, ever throw that under unless they're stepping towards me with that forward foot. He steps towards me with that forward foot. Once that foot plants, the under's coming. Because he can't move his hips. He can't go from this to dropping to this to catch that block. Make sense? Any questions? All right, let's go join the field. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for teaching, Amyr.